This adventure will begin about 4.5 miles north out of Bridgeport, California on California Highway 182. Turning right on Masonic Road, which is a nicely maintained dirt road. You drive about 5 miles till you'll get to the Chemung Mine and Mill area. Covering approximately 70 square miles, the Masonic Mining District is situated in the northerly portion of the Bodie Hills near the Nevada state line. Even though prospectors originally found gold in this area in the late 1800s, it wasn't until about 1902 before mining claims were officially established and camps were beginning to become settled. The Chemung mine operated from 1909 till about the mid-1930s and had many starts and stops along the way. Despite having some rather large mining headquarters and mills and quite a few people working it during the various times, it wasn't as productive as some of the other mines in the area. There is a legend that goes around about an old miner who died in the shafts in this area, and the miner continues to haunt the old mill ruins here at Chemung Mine from time to time, I guess, and supposedly comes out on Saturday evenings if you're up there. I don't know how true that is, especially being Saturday evenings, but who knows? It could be interesting walking around through here.
I believe these are two stamp mills.
Two stamp mills?
Yeah.
What's this referred to as the Chung mine? Chemung?
Chumung.
Chemung?
So the ore cart came in the top,
Yeah.
and there's an ore chute inside, and there was a mill there, and then they somehow had a different chute for different size material. And I don't know how it got in the top of this ore popper, but there was some type of power unit sitting here,
Yeah.
and they had belts to drive these pulleys.
Careful.
And then the ore chute came down right there, and I think it turned sideways, and this is the foundation for the stamp mill. I think. A lot of assumption. But you can just see and so if you can imagine a collector, and this is pretty wide, and once it's rough crushed, it goes down onto a collection plate that is covered with mercury to capture the gold. Great field trip for structural engineers.
Yeah.
And then look at this beam one. And there's actually two attics around the corner. This is quite the operation.
Yeah, it's a pretty elaborate one compared to a lot of ones we see.
Right.
should be.
And they handmade their concrete.
This map shows where the Chemung mine is relative to the other mines in the area.
Like you said, it's amazing that wood has stood like that for over 100 years.
Yeah, I'm sure this was like that other one. It was inactive after 1900. And here was some type of had an axle shaft on it. So you hold down the axle so something could spin. Couldn't build this today. And with water going into the wash plate.
What do you think all this white powder is?
I don't know what that is. See if it's never added to the
I'll drive.
I bet you that was a bunk house or something.
That's what I was thinking.
Chimney. Oop, that's a chimney.
Yeah, I saw the chimney.
Bunk house here.
Next, we're going to drive further up the hill through the valley until we come to New York Hill, where many of the mines are located. This time of year, it's actually pretty through this area, and there's evidence that people do quite a bit of hiking and camping out here. This 1958 USGS topo map shows the many mines that we're driving by between Chemung Mine and New York Hill. Imagine, if you will, the many prospectors, wagons, horses, miners, everyone wandering over these hills on a daily basis, trying to find that elusive strike, trying to make it rich. Viewable on the southern horizon is Mount Patterson, the highest mountain in the Sweetwater Range. The trail leading over its summit drops down into the east in Nevada to the ghost town of Belfort. Coming up in the distance is a high point in elevation for much of the mining activities in the area. It's referred to as New York Hill. There were quite a few mines that were located along the top of the hill, the Sarita mine being the most productive at that time. The Sarita mine, it was also discovered in the 1860s, but really didn't peak production until the early 1900s. It actually had a shaft supposedly as deep as 220 feet. Primarily gold and silver, but I think it was most known for its gold. Just over the hill to our left is the high elevated platform for the ore processing tram, which carried much of the ore from these mines downward to the lower town of Masonic area for processing. In the center of your view right now appears to be a tailing pile from a mine on the side of that slope. As we begin to come around the east side of New York Hill, we can see off in the distance for quite a ways, looking over the Bodie Hills and the Boundary Peak Wilderness. The most prominent peak in the Boundary Peak Wilderness is Boundary Peak, named for being very close to the California-Nevada state line. It's actually slightly over into the state of Nevada and is the highest pointed elevation in the state. We're dropping down into our lower saddle of New York Hill. And what's prominent on this lower saddle, which you cannot really see, are several mines that are pretty productive in this area. Walking around, actually one of them is still pretty active right now. Not sure how much it's producing, but it is owned and being actively prospected. Off to our left and down in the valley is a first glimpse of the Masonic mining camps. The first one we're going to come to was officially named the town of Lorena, but it was more commonly referred to as Upper Town for the Masonic Mining District. Established in 1904, Lorena was the first real town in the district. Offices of the Pittsburg Liberty Mine and the Masonic Mountain Gold Mining Company were located here, and even the first post office in the region was opened in Lorena on December 6, 1905. The district at that time contained several hundred residents, and it was only a matter of time before other towns were established as the mines became prosperous. There was very little evidence of structures or the town remaining in this area. Further down the road, about a half mile, is the area of the settlement referred to as Middletown. It was established shortly after Lorena was. It was built with a boarding house, a small hotel, a general store, a couple saloons, even a schoolhouse, and probably where most of the residents lived at this time. There was actually a newspaper that was produced for a few years out here referred to as the Masonic Pioneer Newspaper. It was first printed in November 1905, and after folding in the Masonic area, it continued to be printed a little bit in the Bridgeport paper. Even though the camp population grew to about 1,000 people, there were no churches, fraternal organizations, or brothels in the districts. Dances were popular, and most of the dances occurred in Lower Town. As we proceed past these trees on the right, this is the area of Middletown, where you can see there's still a little bit of building ruins left over. Not much. As we begin to arrive into Lower Town, this is where much of the actual mining and mill activity were located, primarily at the larger Pittsburg Liberty Mine. In September of 1907, the Pittsburg Liberty Mine opened a 10-stamp mill with 50 men on the payroll. This mill was a big operation and made the shipping of ore by team or wagon to other areas unnecessary. It actually included a dynamo, which produced electric lights, and a 30-foot diameter water tank. About 30 to 35 tons of ore was treated daily. Total mill production at that time was about $700,000. Later in 1913, a cable and bucket aerial tramway was installed that brought the ore about a half mile across the gulch from the mine up on top of New York Hill. The peak of mining activity occurred between 1906 and 1911. In August of 1911, it was reported that only the postmaster and one resident remained in Middletown and that no one was living in Uppertown. Most of the activity was now centered with the Pittsburg Liberty Mill in Lower Town. The demise coincided with the death of one of the partners in a mine shaft in this area. Thank you for watching. We look forward to you joining us in the future.